Hello, I'm so excited to see everyone here today. Okay, so we were talking about karma and then karma remedies or working with karma. And now let's talk more about it, but let's move into manifestation. Because last week when we were talking, we were all like, oh, I guess it was 2 weeks ago. We were talking like it's starting to bridge over into manifesting with our karma and how to turn that around. And so we're just going to continue that conversation because I think that happens a lot, right? Like people are, okay, I understand the concept of karma and I'm changing my mindset from it always being bad to also being just this is the laws of life in the universe. And it can be positive too, the pros and cons. There's always some type of consequence, which is not a bad word. It's just literally a word that there is an outcome from it, right? So then how do you go a step further and manifest? And there's so many questions, right? Like, and I'm going to put this out here to all of you guys. There's so many questions, there's so many practices, so many opportunities. And we've talked about some of these things before, but I like that we're putting it into a full context of, what does that really mean? What does that look like? What is it you're manifesting as far as creating additional karma deposits, right? All of these different things. And then what are some of your thoughts and maybe even tips and experiences manifesting? It's a lot. Like we have, yeah, right? I'm like, and
Oh.
believe it or not, I still need to have some coffee today. So that
I'm
might be
having that
why I'm
kind
a
of brain
little,
day too.
I'm just like, I have so much energy and I'm just like, I need coffee, settle down a little bit. Um, Opposite of most people, but yeah, I know I'm right, right? They're like, this is going to like really hype you up. And I'm like, great, I really need a nap. What do you got? So tap me out. Um, so I think Wendy, I kind of rotate who I go after first, and so for the audience, I never like everyone knows kind of what we're going to talk about, and then it's vague after that. So truly getting put on the spot, but I'm going to have Wendy kick it off today and talk
Thank
about
God,
karma.
because I'm prepared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank all the goddesses. Sweet. It's really a beginner question. I'm new to the language of karma, the concepts of karma. And so in the linear conditioned world that we live in, there's this sort of bump in my mind that I'm wondering, hey, do I have to clear all the karma before I manifest like all the bad karma or all of the problematic stuff? Does it go in like relays? Stepping away from the linear, which we sort of come into by default, I feel like in this quote unquote modern time. Um, how do we step away from the linear and begin to manifest, even if like we haven't 100% like the all or nothing thinking? Does this make sense? Am I coming in clear?
Totally does.
Totally.
Yeah.
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 I
I
mean,
think
and
that,
look, you are not alone,
yeah.
right? We all
Right.
like are like, how do I do this? How do I clean up my junk and get everything I want right now?
Right. Right.
Also, I might
And
be
we've got,
desperate right now.
but like that's also a nervous system thing, right? So
Yeah.
that's like, how
Yeah.
do I deal with my alive self? How do I become embodied and not just embrained into
Yeah.
Mhm.
panic, right? So
Yeah.
how
And not give up on yourself as you're
we
doing the
can,
work.
well,
Yeah.
can't, like, we're alive. This is who we got to work with, right?
Yeah,
So
but so
yeah,
often
but
people will start
mhm,
doing this work to like improve, to
uh-huh,
transform our psyche and all of this stuff. And if we don't see it working right now, we think it
mhm,
doesn't work. And so we quit on ourselves.
mhm,
So from that,
many times.
context, yeah, oh
Many
yeah.
times. Ask me how I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
like I always come back to, oh, I'm actually working with me, not
Yeah.
in spite of me,
Yeah.
against me. Like
Yeah.
this is what I have to work with is this instrument. through
Team
this work.
Wendy,
And so
all day.
letting the work I've done count. So my question
Yeah.
is, does it have to be 100%? Spoiler, no. But how? Tell me more. Yeah.
Right. Right. I think Coco Collie wants to address this.
Oh, really? Look, I think everybody has an answer for this because it's life. I mean, I think that's my answer. It's life. Like, yeah, it'd be nice if our machines worked in a way where you could 100% clear something and then create something, but life is too intricate for that. It never works out in that way. So it's a constant process where we're creating new positive karmas and we're trying to avoid creating new negative karmas while we're going back and we're clearing surface karmas and then going deeper, deeper, deeper to where we hope we're doing practices that completely dissolve karmas, going back to beginningless time. And so we're not repeating patterns once it's completely dissolved. So the short answer is it's all the things all the time. And that can be fun. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
overwhelming because we can just show up and be, I'm going to show up and be Wendy today. I don't know who wants to show up and be Coco Collie, but you're welcome to it.
I will.
But all we can do, right, is show up and
Mhm.
go ahead.
When you refer to the machines, I'm still like, I don't want you to go too far ahead without me understanding what the machine is that you're referring to.
Just our minds, our bodies, our human form is this complex system that runs itself, right? As a machine that it needs tending, it needs maintenance, it needs care. Sometimes it needs an upgrade. So all this work that we do is that maintenance, right? It is that tending. And sometimes it's a significant upgrade that we're able to create to our inner workings. And each of our machines is unique unto ourselves. So that is the context in which I'm using that. I don't want to over talk because I want to hear everybody's answer to this. I feel like this is such a powerful question, Wendy. Thank you for asking it. And we could probably talk about it for 10 years and never get old. But who's next? Who wants to chime in here?
It's interesting. I was just on a call talking about how the machine, as you just said, is like an operating system that we have to update. That it's like we sometimes have a virus inside that we're like, we got to clear it, but you don't have to. Sometimes you can still function when you have a little bit of a virus, right? Like I have a bit of a cold right now. I'm still functioning.
Yeah.
But also so many of my clients also say to me, it's like, oh, okay, I went this far, but now I'm going back and I'm, and I've failed, or, I thought I'd healed. I just want to heal. And I'm like, that's not how it works. It's not like you reach a finish line and it's like, ta-da, everything's perfect. I've cleared out my karma. I manifest like amazing. It's like, no, it's the ebbs and the flows. And I always like to go back to nature and say it's like the waves, like the big waves are going to come and then they're going to crash and settle. And I also believe there's seasons, right? Like I have certain seasons where I can fall back into like really like what I'm learning now with my karma, a lot of like beliefs or thought patterns. I have seasons where I can be in a super flow state for months. And I'm like, I'm just manifesting like that, da, 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 da. But I've now learned to not judge whatever season I'm in because I know they're both going to come back again. Right. And also what I think Coca-Cola, you said about like the fun and the joy. I think with manifesting, what I've really learned is like even in the karma part, which I'm still new to karma as well, learning more about karma, but like, how can we still have fun in the pain, in the healing, in the wounds, right? Like the other day I was having really bad anxiety. I'm like, let me get into my body and feel this anxiety. Let me just fully ride the wave of it, because I know when I'm embodied in that, it's allowing my nervous system to process it. And then I can come to the other side. And I'll tell you a little thing of manifesting. Then I get a text out of nowhere about an aligned opportunity that I've been calling in for 2 years. That happens after I let myself.
Congrats. That's fun.
Thank you.
That's where it's fun
anyway,
too. Like maybe
that's where it's fun
a
too.
dream
Yeah.
to like fully live the anxiety in a moment, but like the afterwards are delightful.
Exactly. And falling in love with both parts of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so amazing. I love this conversation, and I love the terms, the machine, and how we are feeling. And when talking about manifestation, the thing that most comes to my mind is energy and frequency. So, and I think that we go ups and downs, and then when we are higher in our energy, higher in our frequency. So, Emma, for a minute, for a second, you were able to get out of anxiety and tap into a higher energy, and then you attract. So, I think I think accepting and knowing ourselves, having the awareness of knowing our machine when we are in our lows, because we're not going to be able to manifest in our lows, but to know how to get out of those lows and to increase your vibration so you can manifest and you can attract wellness, mental health, because everything is in our brain, in our mind, as Coco Kelly was talking about. So our mind is very powerful. So, and you all talked about some feelings that are detrimental, that we don't have them so we can manifest. We talked about fear, we talked about desperation, we talked about anxiety, and when we vibrate on those feelings, it's very low, and you are not in the vibration of the universe to attract what you need. So what can I do to elevate my vibration, to feel happier even in that darkest moment? So what technical things can I do just to be happy a little bit so I can get back? And when I know that I'm back to that good mental state, what else can I do like that I am feeling good now? But accepting, having this awareness and understanding and being like, okay, with your body, I need this now. I need this grief. I need to leave this, but it's temporarily. I don't want to stay in this state. So vibrating and attracting is key for manifestation, and understanding ourselves. I think if we can do work with people and understanding like this is your machine, that's how it works, that's okay to be like that, and you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
I totally
Well
agree
said.
with what you're saying, because like everything, like we've talked about it in this whole series of karma, right? Like every single thought, everything you're doing is a vibrational energy. And I was thinking about this as some of you were talking, and the thought of like, even like you were talking about anxiety, Emma, like the thought of that creates a vibrational energy. And without effort, by being present and starting to transform your mindset, because your mindset, from what I took of what you said, was you immediately were like, yep, feeling this. I know the quickest way to get over this for myself is to dive into it so it can release and relinquish that energy. And then by default, you're already looking at it from an opportunity perspective. And so our thoughts, they happen so fast, right? Our feelings happen even faster. So all of that happening at the rapid pace it does all the time, people are manifesting without even realizing it, right? And it's whatever consequence it is, positive or negative, right? If
Right.
you are in this state of vibration that is like, woe is me, you're going to attract all of those thoughts and feelings. And but you have to overcome them. You can't just ignore them and go through detachment
Or
and create,
bypass them.
all these other challenges. You have to address them. But what does that look like in the healthiest way for you? And that's where like a lot of the practices come into play, right? There's several types of practices. But then after you have that moment, then what is that opportunity seeking forward, right? Because we would be lying right now if we were like, no, every day is rainbow and butterflies. Like, no, that's not life. I sent 2 apologies yesterday where I was straight up like, yeah, that voice message I sent you, please ignore it. The amount of swear words is unacceptable. Like, that was legit. And I was like, I love you. Just delete, please, please, for the love of God, delete it. And they were like, oh, I want to listen to it. And I was like, no, it was negative energy. Like, yes, it wasn't towards them. It was me venting, but I was like dropping every word you could imagine, a belligerent, like, ah, and I was like, and I just needed to vent about that. Thank you. But I went to go delete it and like not send it. And, of course, that's when you send it. And in the format I was using, I couldn't pull it back. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm spreading anger. So it's rare. Like it was even like they even said, like, I'm listening to it because this is super funny. You never do this. I'm like, really? But it puts that energy out there, right? So we finally got it
Yeah.
deleted. And I was like, don't listen to it. But the reality
Pro
is
tip,
like,
use WhatsApp, delete for everyone.
right? That's what I thought too. I was like, this girl needs WhatsApp. Like this is but at the same time, like that was I had to get it out. I had to experience it.
Yeah.
No, I did not need to send it. Thank God it was just to one of my kids for full disclosure. But and she was just like, Mom. I'm like, well, you know where you got it from. But the reality is like it's what happens after that, right? After that, I immediately transitioned. And then I was like, oh my gosh, okay, let's like make sure that this doesn't spread. Because obviously I put way too much energy out into the world with that. And then moving forward from that. And that's kind of what, like, to me, manifesting is. There are so many times that in karma, and Coco Kali actually was a part of this, this experience. There was a piece of karma I was moving through that I wasn't really struggling with, but someone else pointed out, like, you're really struggling with this. And I was like, am I? I guess. I mean, what should I do? And they're like, well, try to manifest something. And I'm like, well, hell, I feel like I've got everything I need. And Coco Kali and I don't know how many freaking conversations we had about it. I was just like,
We had 2 conversations. No, I'm kidding.
And I'm like, it was forever. It was for like a week though. I was trying to like identify the physical material thing I was gonna manifest. And finally I was like, well, I don't have a car. I guess I'll manifest a car. And then I did. And I was like, well, hell, I went and bought this car. But it's so easy once you've done the work, right? And that's really like what the point of that was. And there's several practices. Hopefully you guys can share some, because there's a lot of them. And I don't want to take away from like other people's thoughts and ideas on manifesting. I know Coco Kali and I have spent a lot of time in manifesting. And it's one of those things in our charts. So, and
also everyone is an expert manifester. That's like, this is not, it's not like just, oh, I have been, like, we've consciously been working on this. I know Raquel also consciously has been working on her manifesting game for, so many years, potentially decades, right? But that doesn't mean that you are not an expert manifester. Like, you could be so powerfully aligned that you can instantly get where you want to go. And I've been working on it for 30 years because that's just, my journey. So I just wanted to throw that in there because time does not equal expertise in this situation.
And I totally agree. I think it's all those things we've been talking about, right? But what would you, like, if you were to give, like, for our listeners and our audience, like, what are some, and I'll ask all of you, or, you guys all just chime in. We can talk on top of each other. It'll be fun. The listeners can try to sort it out. But, what would, like, for you, Coco Kali, I know you have some because you have a whole manifestation program and you've got books on, like, this is your jam. Like, you really leaned into this. So what are some of like the tips that you might be able to give some people that they can do now that would be like, hey, in this, moment, this is what I can do to manifest? Because we've already talked about the whole karma building for it, right? So this is like the end state.
I would say, look, there's so many practices you can go on the internet and find, and all of them work. They all work. I would say the most powerful thing you can do is stop and assess, what am I manifesting? Like, look at your life. What am I manifesting? Get clear. And also, because so much of what we manifest is unconscious, right?
Yeah.
Like, I, am manifesting pain and suffering left, right, and center. So that's all I can see is my pain and my suffering and my back and my neck. And like, that's all we go through. Phases in life, right? Stages is rather, I think, a stronger word for it. We go through stages in life. And some of those cycles lead us to just times where it's like hit after hit after hit. And when we're in that stage, it's the hardest to see our positive manifestations. So take stock of where am I? Who am I being? Because in the stage of the pain and the suffering, I'm complaining. I'm just always about my problems. I'm in my mentality is being a victim, all of these things. And then pick one thing that I could say, I am going to find the good in this. I'm going to find the blessing in this. I'm going to be grateful for something about this, and start to develop that muscle in your mind, right? That says anything can happen to me, because life is going to happen. Life happens to all of us. And sometimes life happens where it triggers things that are painful, uncomfortable, trigger anxiety, feel like suffering. But that doesn't mean that because it looks like suffering that I have to suffer. So if I can look at what looks like a negative karma that I'm creating, and start taking whatever practice feels most comfortable to me. Is it meditation? Is it, let me grab this book on raising your vibes. Let me, do this person's ritual thing. Let me do, I did an exercise yesterday of, Chat GPT, can you come up with a customized manifestation practice for me based on my ancestry profile? Like, you could plug in your different, percentages, and it can bring in now from all of the cultures that represent your ancestral lineage, practice a practice, and then tell you this part of the ritual or practice is from this part of the world where you are, and so on. And so, like, that's fun for me. Someone else might be like, I need to burn some stuff. Right? Let me just build a fire and just start putting things in it. Some people are like, okay, I just need to rant for like 4 hours. Let me press record on WhatsApp and then don't send.
Delete one button.
So, I just want to say, like, I mean, that first step of just assessing where am I from a place of acceptance, of radical acceptance, right? It's not a space of shame and blame, but just like, I'm a human, right? I'm living a human life, and this is where I am right now. And I consciously choose to work on getting to a higher vibrational frequency with this one thing, and then throw everything you have at it.
I think that it's so overlooked, that clarity piece. Like, it's so easy to manifest without realizing it, just like Coco Collie, like you're saying, but that clarity, that's the work, the pre-work that you really need to focus on. And that's the actual work. Like, you might, like I said, a whole car, like, it took me a week to get clear on, like, what do I want, to the type of car, what I was willing to spend, how far I was willing to travel for it. Folks, I'm weird at classic cars, so there's a whole thing with, so like, I had to get like really clear about it, and really be specific about that clarity piece and exactly what I was looking for, and never letting that mindset sway, just staying consistent with it. And once that clarity is there, then yes, anything you do will work. And so I think that that's so overlooked. Go ahead, Raquel. Sorry.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's exactly this. I say clarity. You have to be clear of what you want. When I'm starting with somebody, the first thing I ask the person is, do you really know what you want? Because you have to be clear about what you want, so the universe can understand you. And then you don't think about how you're going to get it. So just think about what you're going to get it, and you have to focus. So the practices that we have first, we have to believe. We are all manifestors, and people talk about manifesting the good, but then there is the manifesting the bad. So we are manifesting all the time. So you have to change your mindset to the good, what you want, to be clear, and you have to believe that you are able to manifest and that you are a co-creator. And somebody told me once that intentionality is the new superpower word, because as Coco said, like, I have to burn something. And for me, like, burn, it doesn't mean anything to burn. I need salt. I need this. But when you do that, you have that intentionality that's going to do something for you. And whatever practice you do. I do scripting, I do mentalizing, because mentalization, as you said, you think about the car. Close your eyes. What color is your car? How fast? How it is? How are you going to feel when you are driving? Because your brain doesn't know past, present, future.
Right.
Feeling that vibration that you are in synchrony, that you're going to attract. So clarity, believing, and focusing would be my tips.
I love
Love
this.
it.
I love what you're saying, because so often, I love what you're both saying about clarity. So often I ask my clients, okay, what do you want? And they list everything they don't want. You know, they say it's one of the hardest questions. I send a form to people. It's the hardest question for them to answer is, what do I want? Because so often we focus on, and again, I'm not about bypassing, like I was saying before with my anxiety, not about bypassing what's true, but moving through it. So often I say to people, use the power of the pause, like move through the ickier things, just pause, right? We live in such a fast-paced world, just pause. And then we change our energy, right? And also, if someone doesn't fully know what they want, what I would say, and what we're all saying today, is we want to get into a different vibration. It's like, okay, we got to change our emotional state. We got to change our energy. So sometimes I say, okay, a lot of the people I work with want to feel more confident, want to have more self-worth or self-belief. And I say, okay, let's bring in the body. Like, how is it going to feel how does it feel when you're confident? Like, are your shoulders down? Do you breathe a certain way? Do you smile a certain way? Are you loud or are you quiet? Like, everybody's different. And so it's getting to know yourself too. And also what you're saying, Raquel, with belief, like play. Like, I have a background in acting, and like acting, actually all of my professions, acting and hypnotherapy, it's all about the practice of belief. It's literally playing in belief all the time. But so often we fear the good, right? We get stuck in the kind of more negative places that we're like, wait, can I be in the good? Can I just play and have fun? And guilty for having fun when the world is on fire in so many ways, right? And again, we're not bypassing what's true, and also knowing that part of what we can do to raise the vibration of the planet is changing our energy as well. And so in belief play, imagination play, like as you said, being specific, if I'm manifesting a specific thing in my life, like what does my day look like in that vibration, and wake up in that state? How do I get out of bed? How do I eat? How do I walk down the street when I'm that person? And I play with this all the time too. Like I'm sharing all this, but I'm like, okay, how does that version of Emma, how does she interact here? Right? What are the practices? And not just the outside stuff, but like the nitty gritty stuff. Like what is, how is she, moving through her morning routine? What are the thoughts she's thinking? Like we want to get the big stuff, but we have to start also with like the little daily stuff that leads to the big stuff.
Right.
Part of that.
Well, I think
we're all having.
Yeah, right. This happens every episode. At some point, we're all going to talk at the same time. Love it. I think that when you're looking at it, it's the clarity, and then it's setting that, getting so clear on it in your mind that it's setting it, and then you bring it into the physical world. So besides having this energetic vibration of that mental piece and the feeling and really owning it, then it's putting it in the physical world through writing it, through physical movement. There's like so many things, right? Like there's like, I have a whole box of bay leaves I've written on, right? And they're hanging out over there. And there's just different ways you manifest all of that and move through the energy. But I think a key is, you have your soul asking for something, you mentally and process that and emotionally process it, then you bring that vibration into the physical world, and then you continue to stay focused on that until it's a reciprocal energy, and it continues to build up its vibration so that it's projecting everywhere. And as you do that, more and more of it will come to you based off of making sure that you're touching every wave of that vibration, because there's several layers of it, right? And the louder it is, the more frequent it is, the vibration continues to change and ripple. And as it does that, it reaches more vibrational threads that it can pull on, right? And then by
And then what
doing
makes
that,
it louder? Like what, when you talk about the vibrational frequency, what activities specifically can people do to raise that vibration, to help solidify that vibration?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm like getting us at, right?
Yeah.
Like I was saying, like you could write down, but you can do offerings. Shout it out, folks. What are some of the other
Hypnosis.
ones?
No.
Because we all know. Yeah. Yes, hypnosis.
And there are
Gratitude.
things also not to
Gratitude.
do, things that you do not do so you don't fall in those vibrations, which are easy, like watching the news or being in gossip, being in
Yeah.
situations. So that are things that you should avoid so it doesn't drag you down, you know?
Yeah.
And
I
even
think
just the
there's
way you speak, right? Like our word is everything. And so not only to others, as you said, not gossiping, but to ourselves, like just speaking and being very mindful. I think I forget who said about complaining, be mindful of like just the energy you're in. If you're always in that kind of evil speech, if like that's also complaining or all of that. So being
Yeah.
mindful of how you talk.
there's
I
also
have
a
something I
resistance
share,
check.
but Wendy, okay,
Thank you.
I can see you. Yeah.
I'm like, "Gah!" I think
I
checking for
saw it. I saw
resistance.
it.
Yeah. Resistance as a portal is something that I watch for. And it's not something I necessarily do, but I'm on the lookout for it. So like, where is my resistance? So if somebody makes a suggestion, like Jessica, you were just talking about writing on bay leaves, and like if somebody has a then that might be something to try. Like lower the bar and let it count. You don't know. So like in some circles of like in 12 step, I hear about contempt prior to investigation. And this is something I'm familiar with. Like, oh, I'm going to super poo poo it because like I got the halt on, but I haven't actually tried it. So contempt prior to investigation is a form of resistance, and it's also a portal. So lowering the bar and letting it count is a way to access or on ramp some playtime, because for some it's just not safe to play. Don't know how to get from like the hustle and grind and hurry of day to day to allow for 3 minutes of, have I even tried that on? Have I given that a chance at all?
Yeah.
Sometimes my onboarding goes, and I know we're not talking like, I'm not talking specifically manifesting, I'm talking bridging to allowing manifesting. So
Yeah.
sometimes what I'll do in a space of overwhelm is I'll write down everything I've already done, with the caveat that this is not about creating more work for myself, creating to-dos for myself. This has already happened. This is evidence. It could be stuff I've already felt okay about, felt good about, semi-proud of myself about, super proud of myself about, tasks or chores I've done in the morning, including feed myself.
Yeah.
And like this, like lower the bar and let it count. And that's a way that is gentle and forward without it being high stakes, super loads of time. I have to have a perfect practice immediately.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Right.
So,
Right?
Or
Yes.
finished,
Amen to
right?
that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
progress is progress. So often we judge that unless I finished that, unless it's complete and complete to my standards or liking,
Yeah.
then it's not an accomplishment. So
Or
I love
perceived
everything you just
standards.
said.
Perceived standards are a killer. Like, what are mine?
Yeah.
Like, is it enough? Yes, it can be enough when you allow it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with anybody outside of you and the work of being you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
I
Thank
think
you
we
for
got a whole
you.
All
nother
of that. Yeah.
conversation about like comparison. But yeah, I love it. I think that at least for me and like in the spiritual pathfinders thing, that happens all the time in that program. They're always comparing and being like, am I doing it right? And it's like, did you do it? Yeah, then it was right.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's where the thing
Yeah.
that works is the thing you do, and start where you start. I want to bring us back to Wendy's question at the top of the call, about, do you have to clear karma first? can you be manifesting things at the same time? Does this happen? Like if there's a linear version versus linear version. And I realized like I'm fighting through a deep karma. It's an ancestral karma. It's like I've seen it in this life, and I feel like it's been with me for multiple lifetimes. It must have been with my family for multiple lifetimes because we all have it. And it is a clutter bug, I mean, some people use this hoarder word. I think that's really nasty. So only because I'm not like I can let go of things, right? But there's been people in my family who were official bona fide hoarders. But I am like, I just need a lot of space and I like to be organized. And I'm now in a tiny space because, hello, spoiler alert, I live off grid completely and my little hut is very tiny. And so I have struggled to find how can I organize my space to be functional with all of my different interests, which I'm very tactile in my interest. And so I've been on a journey for the last few months to Vastu or feng shui my space. I mentioned this to Jessica and she had her space feng shuied in 2 hours. Okay. I'm working on my 4th month. Okay. This is how deep this karma is for me. And when I sat with it and was journaling and looking into it, I realized, okay, my mom had this problem. My grandma had this problem. My aunt is working through this problem. Like, it's not just like, oh, that's just how we are. It's like, this is an ancestral, a legacy karma that I am working to purge. I'm like, I'm not just trying to transform my space, but with the spiritual work that I do, I want to dissolve this karma for myself, for my family, for my ancestors. And so it is impossible for me to clear that up and then like go manifest my new business, my new bank account, my new body, my new, whatever. So my mindset is that I am manifesting these amazing things and I'm working on clearing this thing that's hard, that goes back past me, that has roots that I can't see. But I experience, right? And so that is part of my matrix, that all of these things are intricate, this web of things. And as I dissolve the karma in one area, I think it's not impacting this other thing. I suddenly see a result in this other place, and it has brought me to this place that now I'm working on this karma.
Right. You're like,
and it's a battle.
It's fun. And before you even have enough time to like think about how to celebrate that, here comes the next one. You're so good at this. We're going to give you more.
Right. This is life. Yeah.
Well, and more than one thing can be true at a time, right? When we talk about thoughts and feelings, I come from a workspace in the grief area where people hypnotize themselves, Emma, hypnotize themselves into, telling themselves that they feel this way all the time. They feel this way all the time. And so like honoring that, like that depth of emotion without calling it all the time, because checking in on like, what else is happening? More than one thing is true. Like you feel this way. Yes, this is here in the summer. What else is here in the summer?
Yes.
I think
yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. Okay. Because I'm like, what? So it's very like I look at everything and look at it from a simplistic perspective, right? And you were asking about the linear, asking about the intertwining, and I think if the listeners aren't hearing it, there is a consistent theme throughout this conversation of stop thinking linear because it's not, right? And it's more than an intricate web. This is an energy that you can experience. However, it's not a tangible, here it is, and then it moves on. It is an ongoing energy, like a magnetic energy, like anything that is a natural flow. Air is constantly moving, water is constantly, you think of the elements and they're constantly moving because they're in unison with divine, right? And because they're in unison with that energy, they will continue to move forward. We are the same thing. So when you manifest, there will be byproducts of that in any type of consequence you could imagine, right? I was manifesting that car, and you won't believe all the things that came with that. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, well, okay. But they are going to hit those other strings, right? Think of like a harp, and the string next to the string plucked is going to pick up the vibration. It'll be so subtle you might not hear it, right? We talk about this a lot in astrology, because it's all about the energy of these planets moving and how they vibrate towards each other, or like how we experience solar flares, full moons, eclipses, right? You see that splattered all over social media. I quit doing all of that stuff because I was just like, you can go
It's
Google
exhausting.
it. Yeah, I'm like, if you want a personal consult, hit me. But there's plenty of noise out there. But
Yeah.
it's because there's this recognition of the quantum physics actually working and the string theory, and people are like, oh, all these theories are actually true. So when you
Yeah.
think about this linear, that is, and this goes back to my whole passion of societal constraints, that is the humanity we're moving out of. We are not linear beings. And in order to, like Coco Colley's saying, keep up with the technology and the environment, and all of you guys have mentioned like the noise of what we're competing with in our own selves with society, society is not slowing down. You are responsible for you to make the right decisions to make these things happen. As you continue to hit those strings of vibration, you will no longer be in a space where this is a concern. You will naturally have that enlightened thoughts about alignment of what your purpose is and what you're doing here. And by default, your all those ripple effects of that vibration will align everything for you, because the universe, the great spirit, God, the divine, whatever label you put on it, is not malicious. Okay. There's a process to get there. And manifesting is all about that vibrational shift. Everything we've talked about is that vibrational shift. And as you continue to lean into that, you will level up your whole vibration. And as you continue to level up your vibration, technology is not going to be overwhelming. It's going to be easier to silence the noise. You'll be manifesting without a lot of effort. And then you get to do what Coco Colley's doing now, where she really identifies it and hones in on specific things of like, you know what? This is what I'm working on this week, this month, this year, whatever it is, right? This is where I'm at. And so, and like when Raquel's talking about the whole vibration, I think it's just like circling back to that, right? It's as you continue to level up with your manifestation and packing and closing up these karmas and moving through these cycles of it, it's not going to be the first time and it's not going to be the last time you address it. But every time you do it, you're going to experience it differently and heal more of that or resolve more of that and be able to release more into that enlightened state. And it makes it so much easier. So I just, oh, thanks, Stephanie. One of our listeners just put a heart up. But I'll get off my soapbox now. It's just I'm trying to wrap it up for the audience of like what that really looks like. And it's like, it doesn't ever end. Lean into it, own it, be excited about it, like really go through it. And I know so many of you have so many pieces that you help with that of helping people move through it, right? And I'm going to stop talking now.
Maybe we should do a round table of like, one or two things that we have noticed we help people with that make a difference in getting to that higher vibration and honing into that frequency where we're consciously manifesting what we want and manifesting less of what we don't want.
Great. Please begin.
I think Raquel's really good at this. And I only say this from getting a consult from Raquel. I don't know if you even intentionally do it or if you're aware that you do it, but when you consult for people, you always end telling them, you give them very clear direction of how to manifest now. Like you're like, this is the situation. And now this is what your action is to get clear and kind of like what you've said. You're on mute, by the way. There you go.
Yeah, I think First of all, I think when people feel like your energy, when you are talking with that knowledge that you really believe, so it's contagious. But I think what I try the most is to raise awareness and to empower people. You have the power, and you're gonna get there little by little. So, and just tapping into what Emma said about thinking of the negative, one of the things that I tell my clients is it's very easy to think about the negative, especially when they want to attract people. So I do the notebook exercise. On this side, on the left side, okay, think about what you don't want. Now change to the right side, to the positive, because it's going to be what you want. So I think empowering people, like, you can do it. So we start step by step. So that's what I tell them.
Love that.
Awesome.
And Emma, yours is interesting because it's more about seed planting and programming.
Yeah. But before even getting to that, what I love about the process I take people on is it's like clearing out the gunk or clearing out the thing that's blocking them from manifesting. Because so, we manifest what we believe. And if you have deep subconscious beliefs, whatever they are, that's what's still like, sometimes we can consciously push forward and push, but it's like, well, if the deeper belief is still something you don't want, we actually go back and shine a light on it, right? We make the unconscious conscious. So what I love about how I support people with helping, what I love about these conversations is I didn't realize I'm helping people with their karma and their manifesting. I'm like, ta-da! That's what I do. But yeah, so we clear it out, and then we do it in a very, reprogramming. We do it in a very deep way, but also in a way that's like kind of giving people tips. Is like, you just get to sit back and receive. That's one thing I love about hypnosis is like, okay, you tell me everything you want, but I'm like, I'm taking all the ingredients and I whip it up, and now you just get to listen and receive and let things change and happen and manifest kind of effortlessly.
Yeah. And Wendy, here's the funny thing is you say things like, I'm new, I'm learning, I have questions, and I love your curiosity. And at the same time, you have a whole collection of books that helps people manifest a different future in reality. And that was one of the things that attracted me when I first met you, is I was like, I have people that need you. And I'm like, what's this book? What's this book? What's this book? And you take it to such like let's be basic and let's do this. So can you talk about how you help people with what you're doing in their process of manifesting? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it really goes like straight into self-talk, which, for me, there was big resistance there. So it was a big hell no until like that's what I needed to do. And so that's often how that shows up for me, is through the pushback that I give on the thing that I need. Oh, that's my medicine. And then I like to create games around it because life is real short. And like, it's okay to have fun and have a break and to reframe and to turn it. So I call it 5D or quantum games.
Love it.
And
Oh, good.
it's what are my books? Self-talk word search.
Yes, I
So
love
there's
that.
a series of self-talk word search. So some of that is like allowing yourself to repeat what it is that you're looking for. And so I'm a big brain nerd too. So I really love the reticular activating system, and I like to use it for good. So like, that's AKA manifesting.
Yeah.
Love it. Love
And I love
it.
games. I want to do one
Also,
of your
side note,
games.
requesting PDF versions for digital notebooks. I'm just saying.
Oh no, she's
Hearing
telling.
you, they don't really
Yes, yes,
sell,
yes.
but hearing you, I'm sure I
Oh.
can find a way. I'm sure, yeah, super good.
And
Yeah,
we're going to change
noted.
that language so it's being manifested oppositely. So, because I know that the people that have your activity books, it's so funny because it moves them in ways. It's kind of like excuse me, when you see people do art therapy. It's very similar, right? They're doing it to relax. They're doing it because they need to check out. And at the same time, without even realizing it, they're doing this fun, brainless activity that, because it's so subtle, and that's how we work, right? The subtle's where the power is. It's just that they're like, I feel great. Finish this word search. Apparently, I'm amazing. According to these words I just found, like it's
Right.
like this win-win.
Right. And some of that is ideal because it is screen free too. So it's like getting away from that element and getting into like moving your body and your hand with your mind. So that's part of it as well.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Getting that connection of energy. All right. You know what? We only have a few minutes left. So Coco Collie, close us out with what it is that you work through and help people with. And then, tell everyone goodbye.
Look, I'm all about like the freedom quotient here when it comes to manifesting. Like everyone has the right to manifest a life, a self and a life that they love. And so for me, it starts with radical self-acceptance and self-love. And we clear space. We come up with manifestation practices that work, for you and whatnot. But we're dealing with the spirit, the body, the mind, the soul. I think we all do, right? I don't think I'm different in that way, but heavy emphasis on that radical self-acceptance, radical self-love on the way to creating a life, a business, relationships, a self that you absolutely love and adore and want to come back and do again and again and again.
Yes. I love it.
Love it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. This was awesome.
So glad you're here.
Me too.
I'm glad we all are. Yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
It is. I'm super excited. I think that it's always fun to hear everyone's different experiences. I know it's kind of like the end of our karma series, but we've talked about so much in this karma series, right? And we've invited all of our listeners and viewers to be a part of that journey by like asking the questions, being clear about things. And so there's so many pieces in these conversations we have. So I invite everyone, if you're missing out and you're coming at the last episode of this 3-part karma conversation we inadvertently had, which is how we roll. I invite you to subscribe and to stay tuned for these types of experiences where we're tying the whole journey together in multiple conversations. Because you're going to be able to see, like, especially in this karma one, how we unpacked that from start to finish and why when we get to manifestation, it's like, if this is the first episode you're listening to, you might be a little like frustrated of like, well, but what about this? What about that? If you have other questions, watch the prior 2 episodes because it goes into more deep, right? Like it goes into the details of all these things that built up to today's conversation. But put questions in. Happy to hear your guys' feedback and make sure that we're giving you what you would like to hear and see and experience. And just subscribe to the Plots channel, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Yay!
Bye.